Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, big hour, confirm and deny later in the hour. Mike Johnson coming up in a moment on the Leaf win last night. What happens in Edmonton if McDavid's out long-term? And the forward group for Canada, him and Craig, have put together their list of the 13 forwards they would send to the Four Nations Cup. So we'll catch up with Johnny here in a moment. See, the NBA has fined the Sixers $100,000 for the Joel Embiid situation, that I guess they weren't 100% truthful on his health status. And that's basically Silver saying, I have to ding you because Embiid said publicly he's not playing back-to-backs. And
right.
I don't think I'll play in back-to-backs ever again.
Ever again. Ever again.
It's insanity.
After he just signed an extension at like $60 million a year.
Yeah.
Can't
Can you
do
imagine, though,
back-to-backs,
in that
man.
negotiation, you said to the team, just an FYI, if there's back-to-backs, count me out for the second half of it. And they said, not a problem.
No
but
problem.
That's on the league, though. The league created this monster. They've allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, shame on them. That's really, and shame on the players, too. Like, the players don't have enough pride to play back-to-back games. Like,
That started way back. I remember LeBron. It was a game in Memphis, and Cleveland said, no, we're not sending LeBron and company. They're just not going. And people in Memphis were like, what are you talking about? Everybody was going nuts, and then it just unraveled into a massive problem.
You allow that to happen, then you've opened a can of worms. You can't put the lid back on it, because how do you stop it now? Because guys are now just going to circumvent and say, yeah, obviously you get dinged up, you get tired during the season. My back is sore. Can't play back to back.
Speaking of back sore, did you guys see whose back was sore yesterday?
Who's that?
Ben.
Oh,
yeah.
Buddy, Ben Simmons.
You're right.
Yeah.
Couldn't play.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like back. There was some wording of it that was so outrageous for this guy to actually have this as an excuse. It was like attending to back.
I know.
something.
I saw it too. It was like
Tightness
back
or something.
injury conditioning or something.
Yeah. It was the most crazy wording of a guy bailing out. I've never seen anything like that guy in my life.
There's no pride in it, man. Like you
No.
look what happened in the NFL over the weekend. Anthony Richardson took one snap off, and now he's benched. He's not playing because in the NFL, if you bail on your teammates, you can't get that room back.
I wouldn't be surprised if that guy gets traded, man.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
You do something like that, you lost the respect of everybody. Like, you could see how passionate Luke is about, like, winning and football and, like, how intense it is. Like, for someone to say, I was damn tired, I was running around, and whatever the hell he said, that is the craziest nonsense I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, again, in the context of football. Yet, you know what's crazier? Is some guy saying, I'm just not playing back-to-backs ever again. It's way worse.
Yeah,
you would
like
think.
Who's to say that you could never play back-to-backs again?
Exactly, and that's and I get a difference between the culture of football and basketball, but that's how large the chasm is now. That's how far basketball has gone, and there's other sports that do it too. Baseball, 80 pitches, I'm out. I can't do it. I just that's enough. I've done too much. Bullpen starts. We're gonna have in the World Series. The Dodgers might sweep the World Series, and we don't know who's starting tonight for them. Like, it's just the bullpen. It's a bullpen start, and that's where baseball is. Yet Richardson takes a snap off, and you're out. Lose your job. Can't do it anymore. Kawhi, doesn't matter. Play when you're going to play. Here's contracts. You're the man. There's the billboard. Joel Embiid, I'm not playing back-to-backs ever again.
Just get together and make it a 60-game schedule and stop the embarrassment.
But then it will just keep going, because then they'll play 40. Like, that's the truth.
They'll never be satisfied.
There's never going to be a satisfaction.
You've opened Pandora's box. Like, you're allowing, the guys to run the league instead of management and owners to go. You want to get paid $50 million a year? Let's see. Like, what's the top? Who's the top paid guy in the league? $40 million?
No, it's way more than that. I mean, Jaylen Brown, again, Embiid's making 60 or some 60 plus now.
$60 million a year. It's like, yeah, I'm calling my shot. Now the league has allowed that, the owners
and
have allowed
the
that,
teams,
and management.
the teams think it benefits them too, right? Like,
Yeah.
reference Miami. That was Spoelstra, the king of this. The original one was Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
Pop of fame. This is what started it all. It was a massive game. Spurs were in South Beach playing Miami. LeBron was down there, and like Duncan didn't fly in, Parker didn't come in, Ginobili, and he said, "We're not doing it because we don't like our scheduling." And Pop was being a baby, and he was only concerned about his players, which I understand. And this is an argument I've made forever. You cannot let coaches and GMs make rulings on how your league is going to operate, because the only thing they care about is winning and their own guys, which that's what they're supposed to do. But they have no consideration for the entertainment value, for the business, for the fans. They could not care less. Coaches do not care about the fans. They don't care. No. They're not supposed to care necessarily.
They care about one thing. That's why every coach would say, I don't care. You can give me all that money to coach the team. But you know what I really want? And the most important thing to me is I fill out the lineup card every night with no distractions and no influence from anybody else. That's what they want.
Right, because they think that'll keep their job, because then they can win.
It's also a power play. It's a control
it's power,
thing.
Of course it is. But that's the depth of it, is you let coaches make the call. Everything's reviewable, know this, know that, and then your entertainment value slips.
Yeah. And they also don't like some little pencil neck that comes down with a binder that says, these matchups look good from what I've seen on my computer.
I'm pretty sure they don't like that either.
No.
Yeah.
Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN Hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's up, Johnny?
So I had a binder last night that said Tavares on the second line with Pacioretty and Nylander might look good against Scheifele. I don't know what the size of my neck is, but I don't know. It seemed like it was a good idea.
Pretty good call, man. Pretty good call.
Yeah.
Credit where it's due.
You're telling me that there's a binder available that said if you put Pacioretty with Nylander and Tavares, that will work against Scheifele. You're telling me that, Johnny?
Yes. A particularly penciled-necked guy came from upstairs and let them know that was a good option, and it turned out to be correct.
Wow.
Let me just clarify, because I know you talked. Is it you that said to Craig Berube, you should try this line? It might work out.
No. I'm not referencing myself. No. Although, if we ran the tape, like the power play ideas that we talked about last week were almost verbatim what they did last night. Not that it worked, but clearly, the stuff we're seeing and the ideas that we have are not that different from the coaching staff, because they went the exact same, taking Tavares and Nylander off and putting Knies and Pacioretty at healthy on the first unit. So sometimes we're not entirely off base in what we think they should be going on.
Well, I'm curious if after seeing that last night, it's one game, you don't want to overreact, but maybe Pacioretty should be on a power play unit with Tavares and Nylander. Like that line did look great, and we said it an hour ago. Full credit to Tavares and Pacioretty for seizing that opportunity, moving up the lineup, playing with Nylander, and they didn't squander that opportunity. They looked great last night.
Yeah, I mean, you could have that almost like roll two lines, put Knies with the first group, put the second line, if that's what we're going to call them, in the second group, and then put Domi, McMahon, sprinkle them in, Robertson, whoever's in the lineup as the fourth forward. Totally doable, which also makes it very easy to run based on your lines. You don't got to go blended together and your lines coming out of power plays. If you have chemistry, I'm not willing to concede that what we saw last night for Tavares. Now, remember what happened, what was it, the first two games that we saw Domi, McMahon, and Nylander together? Everyone was like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
Look at the chemistry, the speed, the straight line shooting McMahon. And then they were terrible for 3 games. So these things ebb and flow. Right now it worked out well. I don't know if I'm, trusting that that's going to be long-term that effective. But for one night, the first 2 periods last night, Toronto was incredible 5-on-5. They were so good. They were running Winnipeg out of the rink. I know the power play didn't score. I know penalty killing gave up a couple to that Kyle Connor, who can shoot it about as well as anyone not named Auston Matthews. But for 2 periods, that was really, really good, going into a rink where the other team hadn't lost and coming off some games where they hadn't played particularly well. That was an impressive couple periods.
Johnny, what would you do? Like, we just talked about the power play. Like, in the last hour, I was saying, I think you should go back to loading it up. because I think eventually those guys, when they run their routes and they start to execute, we saw what Winnipeg can do with the extra guy out there, and they have Connor as a trigger man. Like, to me, I understand the power play hasn't been as advertised, it hasn't been sharp for a long time, but with the talent on it, I liked your idea earlier of having Oliver Ekman-Larsson, a shooter back there, and then allowing the rest of the guys to sort it out. Like, I guess you were an advocate for splitting it up. I'm more of an advocate of loading it up and just allowing them to break through eventually. What do you make?
Yeah, so I guess I would say this, Noodles. You say, go back to it. It's only been one game they haven't loaded it up, right? So they've had a month plus training camp, plus last year's playoffs, plus the last 2 months of last year loaded up, and it hasn't really gone well. So I'm not going to say we're not going back to that, but I don't have any problem within the short term. Give them a different look, maybe rattle their cage a little bit, get their attention, and then once they start playing a little bit better, even though it's individually or in broken up units, whatever, you'll get back to all the big guys on one unit. Absolutely. But the one concern I have, Noodles, for putting everyone back together is that one of the things that John Tavares used to be exceptional at was that when the puck went to the net, he was very good at tracking it down, getting to it quickly, making a strong play, and maintaining possession. And whether it was his illness, he was sick a little bit during the first month of the season, he hasn't been quite as good at that. Maybe it's just a half step slower or whatever it might be. And I do think that puck retrieval aspect from the guy in front of the net, that's something that they were missing, among many things they were missing in the power play. And I wonder if, as Matthew Knies, doesn't have the hands as Tavares, but he's certainly bigger, stronger, and faster. So I wonder, that kind of rotation maybe makes sense longer term as well.
Where does Matthew Knies rank for you in terms of importance on this team?
Okay, well, we're going to have whoever the starting goalie is, maybe even both of them at this point. You're going to have certainly the top three forwards. Is he supplanted Tavares? You could have that conversation up front. Then you'd go to, McCabe, Tanev, Riley. He's like 8 or 9, something like that. But well, I guess the conversation is is he your fourth best forward? I think that
to start the year he has
the conversation.
Yeah, I don't think it's disputable now. That doesn't mean that'll be the case 10 games from now, but through the first 9 games, I don't think there's any doubt. I think he's played really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of that's based on expectations, though, because prior to the year, Hayes, what would you have thought a great year for Matthew Knies would be? 25, 35, 60?
Yeah,
would that have been a great year?
Oh, great year.
Right?
Yeah. It still would be,
year,
Johnny.
Right?
Still would be.
Yes. Right. Like, he's not going to score 45. I don't think he will, even though he's on pace for something like that. But I think the one thing that has been consistent with him is that, he has that element of, size and speed and youth, right? He's young, he's fast, he's strong. And I think at times when the Leafs have struggled, they haven't looked like they have that throughout their lineup. So it stands out even more because he consistently has been able to bring that kind of energy. Doesn't always make the best play, not always the cleanest with the puck, not as talented with the puck as any of those other top 4 guys, or maybe even Max Domi, whatever, but he has size and speed and strength that is noticeable. He's been really, really good. Really good. And I think, having said all that, they played 9? They played 10 games. Does he have 6 points?
Well, he's up to 5 goals or something, isn't he, last night, I think?
The thing, Johnny, I was going to say, isn't that the going rate for that left side to play with Matthews and Marner? It's 60, 65 points, whether that's been Bunting or Hyman. That's what Knies needs to continue to do to be there, is play heavy hockey, to be strong. I think he's embracing that role. We were talking about it, last hour, where Pacioretty and Tavares embraced getting onto that second line with Nylander yesterday. I think Matthew Knies has embraced getting an opportunity playing in the top 6, and that's what I think is good for him, because he doesn't look out of place. I think he's doing his job with what he needs to do with those other 2 guys, and that's what that role on the left side asks for that line, does it not?
For sure. Now, I would say, something more like 40 even strength points would be what would be hopeful. Because, like, he doesn't play on the power play, right? So getting 60 points, if you don't get power play points, it's really, really hard to get 60 points in the NHL. And it will be really hard for Matthew Knies. But you think to Hyman, you think to Bunting, you think to Knies, like these guys who embrace sort of the workman-like component of that line, and you can make yourself a really good, nice living by being a good player, but doing what that group needs you to do, and he seems willing and able and maybe do more than that as well. I do also think there is something new. Like, you guys know what it's like when you get on a good team. Like, if you somehow are really good friends on ice, off ice, away from the rink with, like, the other top player, it might make you a little bit more comfortable in the room or on the ice with that same top guy. I think there's something too. We've seen Max Domi kind of, be a running mate of Auston Matthews. Seen Michael Bunting when he was here was like a buddy of Auston Matthews. And Matthew Knies seems like a buddy of Auston Matthews now, where they hang out in the tennis and all the rest of it. And I think that would help you be comfortable and confident playing with guys who could be intimidating because they are so talented.
What have you seen from Matthews, Johnny?
He's it's rare to say this. He's kind of fighting the puck around the net, like plays that he would otherwise score on, or has historically scored on. He's not finding the back of the net. I think it's an aberration. I think that will right itself. The pencil neck binder told me that he is still amongst the league leaders in, expected goals and slot shots.
I knew you had one of those damn binders.
Yeah, I do. I got lots of them.
What color is the binder? Give us
blue.
A color.
I guarantee it's blue.
Depends what subject you wanted. I had one for each subject. I was organized.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah,
Continue.
I had a very, very organized locker in high school, no doubt. But I think the numbers would say Auston Matthews is likely to, start finding the back of net more often, because he's generating the quality and quantity of chances that would indicate that would happen. But it's strange to see him grab a loose puck in the slot, be right there, and then not have it go in, because it always goes in. It always has gone in. The last several years, he doesn't miss those. I think, maybe a little frustration for him, but he's still battling hard and creating more chances than his stats would indicate.
With Mike Johnson, how many games would McDavid have to miss with this injury for you to start to really panic on where the Oilers are at and where they're going?
20?
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, first of all, that was the most innocent-looking nothing burger. Like, maybe it was a pulled hip flexor or something. But, it was like he didn't go down hard, and he just sort of, I thought it might be a strained hip flexor. But for him to be on a plane to Edmonton off the road trip by the end of the game, like, that almost feels concerning to me. But yeah, like, if he misses 20 games and all of a sudden they are still several games, around 500 or 6 or 8 out of the playoffs when he comes back after 30, 40 games, that would be concerning. Like, that would be a significant missed amount of time and missed opportunity for Edmonton to get better in the standings. Plus, there's I know the Oilers don't care, but there is can you imagine if he can't play international stuff? I mean, I can't even fathom. I mean, we've all been clamoring for those guys to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And if he wasn't able to do it, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that would sting, man. And we were discussing your lineup earlier this afternoon. You and Craig put together your consensus 13 forwards that you would have on Team Canada. You're not predicting what it's going to look like. This is how you guys would have mocked up the team. And naturally, you had McDavid on the first line. But you had him with Hyman and Marner, two guys who were off to decent starts, not great starts.
Oh, hang on. Hyman's not off to any start.
Hyman's been awful.
Start.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a start. He's still in the preseason, effectively, statistically. Mitch has got 1 goal. He's put up points, and Mitch has been better recently, for sure. But explain that line, Hyman, McDavid, Marner.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we sort of put this together 10 days ago when it had been 4 games, not 9 games for Zach Hyman, and understanding if he is not playing and producing well by December, he loses that spot. He has that spot because of his connection to Yes, he's a very good player, But, like, Matt Barzal's a better player than Zach Hyman, but it's because of his connection with Connor McDavid. If that connection doesn't show it's there this year, then maybe we definitely will revisit that before December 1st. But that was because those two, like when Chris Kunitz plays for the international team for Canada, because of what he is with Sidney Crosby. Same kind of idea. And Zach Hyman's a very good player in his own right. So that's where the thought was. And for Mitch, I think his talent, both ends of the ice, because someone needs to be good defensively as well. With Connor McDavid, I think putting McDavid more onus on him to score is probably a good thing internationally, and Mitch Marner certainly can facilitate that. I think the fact that they have the relationship from the Colorado training sessions in the summer, Mitch Marner's on this team. Like, he is going to make this team 100%.
Yeah.
And so you could say, well, he should be on the second line instead of Sam Reinhart, or he should be on the third line instead of Mark Stone. Like, those are all awesome players, interchangeable depending on how you see it fitting. In this one, I like the speed, the creativity, the defense of Marner. But yeah, like the Hyman thing, I don't even know. Like, if he goes the next month and scores if he has 5 goals at the end of December, or at the beginning of December, the team's chosen, I have a hard decision whether to put him on the team. We have to rethink that carefully at that time, because there'll be other players playing better who probably are better, just not connected to Connor McDavid.
Well, can he play with anyone not named McDavid? Like, can you have Hyman play with Suzuki?
But not ahead of the other guys.
Okay.
Exactly. Not ahead of the other. He could. Of course he could. But I would not put Zach Hyman with Nate McKinnon ahead of Braden Point. I mean, there are other players that are going to be available. Like Travis Konechny's a hell of a player. I'd like him on my team. Can I have him as a checking winger ahead of Zach Hyman? I could definitely be talked into that kind of stuff. So,
but can he
play,
if it's
not a fit with McDavid.
Did all those guys? Sorry to interrupt. Did all those guys? Can they play left wing out of their position? You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing too. Is playing a little different position. You have to, like, this is a short tournament. I know it's a made-up tournament, but it's like it's a short tournament where it's are these guys comfortable sliding to the left or the right-handed shot? And they've never. I think the left side is probably the weakest side for that Team Canada. Is it not? You're going to have to force guys over there, other than Marchand, correct? I guess Hyman.
He's not playing great. Lafreniere can play on the left side.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's amazing. There's not many left shots amongst the forwards. Like, hardly any. I mean. It was surprising. Like, 3 of the 13 guys shoot left, which is weird in a league where 60% of the guys shoot left to begin with. I'm with you, Noodles, but I also say this. Like, would talk about, like, if you're one of the best 12 forwards in Canada, you can play on your off wing, and it should not be a mystery to you. Like, if you're good enough to be on this team, you should be good enough to go to the other side and not have too much trouble. Braden Point's going to play on the wing. He can handle that. You know what I mean? Like, the odd time he finds himself in a bit of a different kind of positioning. But whatever. He'll be okay. So, yes, it's a concern, but I still am of the mindset of let's take sort of the most talent and then, worry about them playing their natural positions secondary.
Yeah. And that'll be interesting to see how that applies, because that I think it'll be even more of a conversation come, building the defense. Like, how much of it will be based on familiarity? Is Taves on because of McCarr? He might be on there anyway. Is Pietrangelo there, and him and his partner going to play? I don't know. I mean,
Theodore going to be together.
Theodore, exactly. Yeah, I would think so.
I think Devon Taves is on that team.
I think he is too, but in large part because he's kind of a Hyman, though, isn't he, Noodles? Like, he's not a top pairing guy on Canada, but he'll play with McCarr.
I think he's a top pairing. He's a top pairing guy, man.
Really?
Crazy comment. First crazy comment of the show today. That was
no, it's not.
So you're saying he's one of the 5 or 6 best defensemen in the world? Like, that's what you're suggesting, Devon Taves?
It doesn't have to be in the world. It has to be for Canada.
Yeah,
for Canada, he would be for you guys. Okay.
Dude, Canada has like Darnell Nurse and Morgan Riley on their like expanded list. Like, Canada doesn't have the same sort of 12 stud defensemen like the U.S. might. Right. Canada on that left side, you have Taves, you have Theodore, you have Riley, you have Nurse, you have Chikrin. Like, you have those kind of players.
Werenski's
American.
Sorry.
Werenski was he was Canadian. He'd be a top 3 defenseman on Canada.
Yeah,
he might not even make the American team. Jake Sanderson, I'm here in Ottawa tonight. He might not make the American team. He would be a lock to play for Team Canada. They don't have the same quality.
Well, Josh Morrissey. I mean, Morrissey's a left-handed shot.
Morrissey is a lock. Morrissey,
Yes.
Taves.
Who do you think
I
is
know we're
better,
ruined tomorrow's.
Taves or Morrissey, though? Who's a better
Morrissey's
defenseman?
better.
Okay,
Morrissey's
so there you
better.
go.
Morrissey's awesome.
So rescind
Yeah,
your
players.
comment then, because if it's whoever's the best, then it should be Morrissey with Makar on the top pairing. But Taves will play with
But-
Makar because of the
Are you
familiarity.
talking about pairings? Yeah, familiarity.
But
doesn't
you guys
mean
are
all,
jumping
but
down my throat. You're like, dumb
not-
comment. He's the
I didn't
best.
say dumb.
No, you said
Morrissey's
you said
better
on
than
the
him.
Team, not with. No,
The
you
only
said would he be on
dumb
the
comment
team,
you made
not
was,
with
is he a
Makar.
best defenseman in the world? And it's about Canada. So that was dumb.
That's what I'm saying. Morrissey is better than Taves, and yet
Josh
Taves is
Morrissey.
going to play with Makar on the top pairing. That was my point. It was what I was saying. Is he's going to be fine. He's on the team. I don't disagree with that. But it's just like Hyman. Hyman's not better than Point. He's not better than a lot of guys, but he's going to play on the top line because he's with McDavid. It's going to be the
And
same
I
thing
think
with
that
Taves.
familiarity started with Babcock years ago, where he talked about pairs and familiarity, and if you could get one guy and then add to it, it's just
It's not a bad
easier and better.
strategy. It's not
No,
a
it
bad
isn't.
strategy.
No, it isn't. Just
It's
ask.
not a bad strategy in a short tournament too. This is the other thing. These guys
Right.
aren't getting together for a summer camp.
Playing
and
3
working-
games.
Yeah, it's
I
quick.
know.
It's quick.
It's just, hey, hit the ground and see what. I agree. Like, I think, but Taves is a very underrated defenseman. Like,
Yeah.
even as a standalone, I think he's a hell of a player. It just, it doesn't hurt to play with Cale Makar.
Yes, exactly.
No, but when Makar was hurt last year, Taves was awesome. Put up huge numbers on his own when Makar wasn't in the lineup. So, yes, everyone's better playing with Cale Makar, but to Noodle's point, and like, you want to put Morrissey with Makar? Put Taves in the second pair with whoever? And, like, that's totally fine with me. You know, he's more than capable of doing that. And maybe you end up in that position. But Taves on the team is a guarantee. He's going to be on the team.
100%.
A lock.
Yeah.
Wherever
Johnny,
he's
did
going to
you
be.
just say
That's
they're
for
playing
sure.
3 games? That's it? There's no, like...
There's no exhibition. They're playing like that. There's 4 teams in the tournament. They play 3 games. Then it's just by points. 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 in the semis, then a 1-game semifinal. So, yeah. Or you know what? I don't even think there's a semi. It might be 1 versus 2.
Yeah, I
in the
think
final.
it's
There
like
is no
you
semi.
can
It's
play
a max of 4.
or something.
I know
Yeah.
people are excited about this, but I'm not very, like,
You're
I'm
raining
sorry.
on the
Noodle.
parade.
I'm sorry. I
No.
couldn't care less about this. Like, I think it's
I
just
think
a
it's
waste of
legacy
time.
making.
It's
legacy,
not
legacy
How the
momentum.
hell is it legacy making? Because Russia's not even the best player. The best 3 goalies in the league aren't in it, and
I know,
arguably
Noodles,
one of the
but
best
we knew
players.
that was going to happen anyway.
It's
It's just-
ridiculous. Like,
Well.
it's a waste of everybody's time, and it's cutting into it's cutting into the actual NHL.
Well, would you rather an
season, too.
All-Star game somewhere
Well,
and we
no,
watch
I know, but
guys mail it
And
in
a bye
on-
week. All-Star
Well,
game and
yeah.
a bye week. That's what they're missing.
That's what they're missing.
Yeah, I know, and I probably shouldn't be as strong with.
You'll get into it when it happens.
I just
buy a
think
jersey.
What was that when Marchand scored the winning goal?
The
What is
World
that?
Cup.
World Cup.
Exactly. Does
Yeah.
does that on his mantle somewhere back home?
That's a good question. Probably
not.
Probably.
When he goes in the
Probably.
Hall of Fame, they will talk about his international experience, and the World Cup will be on that list of things that he accomplished.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
how is this
Fournier.
international
Team
experience when? But how
Yeah,
is this
Fournier.
international
Team
experience when there's
world.
only 4 countries playing in it?
It's still, hey,
Ridiculous.
it counts. He didn't make it up. All he could do is strap it up and go
Or
play.
no, didn't
He
they
had a
beat the
great
Young
game.
Guns in the final?
No, they
Wasn't
beat
it that?
Team Europe.
No.
Team
Oh,
Europe.
Team Europe.
The garage sale
Ralph
team.
Kruger.
You know what? I would
Yeah.
rather go back and watch that now because look at how good that Young Guns team is right now today.
Oh, they were loaded back then.
It'd be great if you could put the Young Guns team as a standalone in this tournament,
Yeah.
Oh,
and they don't
The
get
Young
to play for
Guns
the
should have
normal country.
boycotted and said,
They'd
"Don't
win.
even call us.
They'd
We're coming
win.
back as the Young Guns still."
That'd
And,
be
like,
great.
let's see who will beat us.
Bring
We're
the Young
going
Guns back.
independent state, Young Gun state, and we're taking a run at things.
Yes, sovereign state. Give them sovereignty and let them
Sovereign state.
just run the whole operation. I love that idea.
I love
That'll
that.
get
I
noodles
think it's
going.
good.
It would be
Yeah.
great. All right, Johnny. We'll see what comes of it tonight. Is Allmark playing? I think he's going tonight.
Allmark is playing, yes.
See what he's
and,
got.
So we'll see. It's going to be an issue in St. Louis from the road. St. Louis, listen to this road trip. Oh, you can appreciate this. In on Wednesday night in Toronto last week, played Thursday, stayed in Toronto Thursday night after the game, green light special. Go to Montreal Friday, wake yourself up, play Saturday, lose. Stay in Montreal Saturday. Stay in Montreal Sunday.
Oh.
Sober up on the way to Ottawa yesterday and play the day before going back. This is a tough game for St. Louis.
Yeah,
They've
I
been
would have
on the road
went
for like a
out
week.
down.
and- Oh,
I would have
know.
went out downtown
Trouble.
Ottawa last night just to take the edge off. And I just would have eased into 6 or 7 and then went to bed and said, now it's time to smarten up.
Yeah, fumes coming out of Montreal. That is a
So
great trip. Great trip.
That must have been a tough bus ride up. Quiet and stinky.
Very quiet.
Stinky.
Put some country music on and everyone just shut up, please.
That's it. No talking at all.
No. All right, Johnny, enjoy it. We'll do it later in the week.
All right, fellas. Have a good day.
Mike Johnson joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. All right, confirm or deny coming up. Jesse Palmer coming up. We got Chris Johnston coming up as well. And Game 4 of the World Series tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
Confirm or deny brought to you by Summit Ford and South Lake Ford Lincoln. Ford employee pricing is back. You pay what Ford employees pay on most new 2024 Ford vehicles. Limited time only. Visit summitford.com or southlakeford.com today. Confirm or deny. Statements are made. We confirm them or we deny them. Very simple stuff. Confirm or deny. William Nylander will play with John Tavares more than any other center the rest of this season.
Deny.
Quick.
I think, it's nice coming off a hat trick, and I think they got great chemistry, but he also, John's 34 years old. I think I think Max Domi's going to get looks there. I think, Tree might be creative and grab somebody at the deadline. I think, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. That's the way I feel.
Okay.
I think I could see it the next foreseeable future, but you said the rest of the year. I think there might be changes there.
I'm going to confirm it for a few different reasons, Hazy B. One is that maybe, and there's recency bias involved here because of what happened last night, is maybe John Tavares is the best second-line centerman on the team. I think Max Domi, I don't know if Max Domi, I think he's like a playmaking winger. Where he slots in a lineup or who he plays with, I'm not sure. But maybe just John Tavares is the best. They're like, what are we going to do at second-line centerman? And maybe he's the guy and he's just going to have to do it. You're going to put up with the ups and the downs, and he's the guy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to confirm it. This could go south, though, and we're going to be watching it saying they got to move that guy out of that position because it's just not working. That could happen within a week. You understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It happens quick.
I agree with you. I think there's no doubt right now.
It could happen Thursday now that I'm thinking about it.
But John Tavares is the best second-line centerman on the team. But he's got to play like it and prove it every night. And it's harder to do as you get older. That's the only thing. And it's not like he's 40. He's only 34. But it's just that's the pace of the game and how the schedule being lumped together. There might be nights where he struggles a little bit. But I agree with you. He's the best second-line center on the team. I just don't know if he's going to, if he drops off, they might have to look at other options. That's kind of where I went.
Yeah, I will deny it too because of playing the field. Willie will play with Matthews at some point this year. That's going to happen too.
That's coming.
So he's going to get cracks with Austin. He'll get cracks with Tavares, get cracks with Max. I think Domi should be on the wing. I think by the end of the year he's playing on the wing. I think in the playoffs he's on the wing. I expect that, but they've had issues up the middle of the ice trying to find out who that second-line center is. Based on talent and merit and who he is and what he gets paid, it should be John Tavares. And if he keeps playing the way he played last night, it will be John Tavares. But it is a long season. Things are going to change. It will not be David Kampf. It will not be Pontus Holmberg. You have the options right now. It's Tavares or Domi. That's who you have as your second-line center. It's one of those two guys. Maybe they acquire someone, but they won't be alone. I don't know who's going to be available. A lot of teams will be looking for that center ice depth. What do they have to pay? How much money do you have? It gets complicated if you're seeking that, from outside the organization. But I'll deny it just because of the field. Matthews, Domi, maybe a trade.
Well,
other options out there.
And you make a good point. Willie playing with Austin. Like
Yeah.
it might be John and Mitch, at some point. Like
Right,
that's,
for
they
sure
might just
that'll
swap
happen.
out,
I would
right?
be surprised if it didn't at some point. Surprised it hasn't really happened through 10 games, quite
Yeah.
frankly. Confirm or deny, Aaron Rodgers will play for the New York Jets next season.
Absolutely not. If they have any brains, they'll tell him to walk away. They'll tell him they don't want him back. I don't know what the option is or how the contract works. I don't know if he has any term left after this year, does he?
Yeah, I think he does. They kept adding to it and moving money around, and I think as a result, he's got more term on his deal. But even if he doesn't, if he wants to play, that is a reasonable take. Oh, if you're dealing with reasonable people. This is the New York Jets.
Okay, that's the
point.
Here. If you guys want to continue to be lunatics, then bring him back and have the nightmare continue into next season. You're going to get what you deserve.
That's why I'm confirming
smart people would bring in, I don't know who the hell's out there, but, I don't know how many times you have to start from scratch for that organization. But bring in some type of Peyton Manning type as president of football operations and cut the crap with all this ridiculous stuff and the owner being the GM / personnel guy / super fan. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
But they're dummies, man. They're dummies, and it goes back to the Dave Naylor quote. You get an owner with 6 beers in a video room, you got a damn dangerous situation on your hands because they think they know what the hell they're talking about, man.
Well, I'm confirmed. For some reason, I feel like he's coming back. He shouldn't, but I feel like he's coming back.
Out of spite, he'll come back.
Ego alone.
Yeah,
ego,
spite,
everything.
ego,
but
vindictive, the whole
I
nine.
I feel like in his mind, he's not done with this. Like he's telling people, once I get it the way I want it, we're going to win here. Like I feel like, and he's believe me, he's gotten rid of the coach.
What more could he get it?
They want Randall Cobb, Greg Jennings out of retirement.
It's
AJ Hawk has to come back.
I'm telling you, this guy seems like he's running the organization. It wouldn't surprise me if he's on the phone with the owner going, give me some time here. I know what I'm doing. I'm Aaron Rodgers. And he's throwing everybody under the bus. Like I feel bad because his legacy, I think people look at him and you couple that with the strangeness off the field. Like he's really hurt himself from a legacy standpoint. When you talk about Aaron Rodgers, you don't talk about one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. You're like, that guy's a lunatic. And
There's
now
some wild stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just sad.
And now the play and the way, and it's not that he's been like horrendous, but you hold him to a standard, and it's the toxicity that comes with him in terms of what he's demanding, him in with the owner, wanting his own guys, and it can't work. You can't have it. Yet I think he will return next year.
I do too.
And the circus will just keep going on. Confirm or deny, the LA Dodgers win the World Series tonight. Tonight, the Dodgers close and they sweep the Yankees.
100% confirm this. This is like, when you're up 3 Cobb, it's like, if you've ever watched poker in the past, the guy that has the massive stack, he just goes all in on 2-6 and he cleans everybody out at the end. It's that's just what happens. You're winning, and the Dodgers have the big stack, and it's just the Yankees, man. They got Serrano up there just fanning on curveballs.
Who's pitching tonight, though? Isn't it
It's a bullpen start for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think that's why I think the Yankees are getting one. Now, it's 2-3-2, right?
Yes.
So they've got to win tonight and Wednesday.
Well, they win tonight and tomorrow in New York.
The sexiest way to
It is.
It should be like Kershaw, coming out of.
It's
like
a
off the
start.
injured list or something.
That's
but
why
it's
I
like
think
a
the Yankees
bullpen
get one
start.
tonight.
Yeah.
I think they get one tonight just based on you don't know who the hell's coming out of that bullpen.
I'm kind of with you in terms of the odds that their bats have got to come alive at some point. You know what I mean? Like someone's got to get. They almost had it last night. Like they almost had a scenario where Soto was coming up, a game on the line, into Judge. And, Torres ends up grounding out and ends the game. But look at these stats for Aaron Judge. in the World Series through 3 games. 1 for 12, no extra base hits, no RBI, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Staggering statistics. And Aaron Boone's reaction basically is the guy's Aaron Judge. He'll figure it out. And, at some point he probably will. But if it's not tonight, you talk about legacy. This one stings, man, because he's lucky. He didn't do anything against the Royals for the most part, the Guardians for the most part, a couple of hits, a couple of home runs. But really it was Stanton and Soto and, other guys kind of dragging Judge to the World Series. And they've got to the World Series, and he's played so poorly. But, I feel the series is over, but I'm willing to throw a bone to the Yankees that they get one tonight at home. But Doogie was saying Cup final, 3-0. NBA Finals, 3-0 Celtics. Now World Series, 3-0 Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
Like all three. We saw what happened in the Cup final. That turned into a 7-gamer. I think the NBA Finals went 5.
Sometimes you get there and you don't have it. You don't have enough.
Wow.
Your journey, I don't know what it is, the matchup, but another team's got more gas and they're just better and you have no shot.
So are we checking browsers today going, is there guys on Expedia?
Oh, yeah.
Mental hurdle, man. Mental
Big
hurdle.
time.
Because mentally you're thinking, we're going to win tonight and then fly to LA and get our ass kicked there and just have to fly home. Because that's a possibility. Do you really want to do that? That's what you're talking about. The Edmonton Oilers wanted to do it. Like McDavid was saying, we want to drag him back to Alberta, and he was dead serious. I didn't hear anybody in the Yanks say we want to win, we want to drag them back there and then back to New York, just to have a fighting chance. Or they're actually not going back to New York.
They got to play tonight and tomorrow in New York, and then the last 2 in LA. Which, again, I can't imagine they.
But that's what you're mentally up against.
There can't be any belief there.
No.
And conversely with the Dodgers, they feel so good right now, like so good that they're going to show up. Like Ohtani was doing his arm in a sling thing all night. They walked him on 4 pitches to start the game.
That is so stupid. A guy that's standing up there holding his arm in place in a socket, and he's holding the bat with one hand, and you walk him.
You don't challenge him.
Dude.
Like nothing. That's how great this guy is. And how terrifying he is. With one arm, last night, Schmidt was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I kind of hope he goes and chases something.
And no matter how it happens, I know Freddie Freeman's been on fire, but you walk that first guy up, any inning, any major league game, that guy's always scoring.
You're in huge trouble.
Huge trouble. That guy's always coming across home plate.
Yep. That's what happened. All right, we'll come back and continue with some confirm or deny. We've got Jesse Palmer coming up, and CJ will join us as well. And our best bets coming up, too. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Jesse Palmer, Chris Johnston still to come. Big giveaway as well. Big announcement at 6 o'clock. Confirm or deny continuing, though. Confirm or deny, the Maple Leafs should be pushing hard to sign Matthew Knies to a long-term extension. Confirm or deny. He's an RFA after this year.
What are we confirming, the extension or?
That the Leafs should be pushing hard to do that.
Man, I kind of sick of handing out the cash, but everybody else is doing it, and if you don't do it now, it just gets dumber, right? So why not?
The number goes up if he has a great year. Like that's the cap gymnastics you're doing all the time, and Knies off to a good start. He's playing with their best players, and
who's to say he doesn't say, I'm going to wait it out, Well,
takes 2 to tango.
You're right.
I'm confirming you should do it.
So that adds another, how many? That would be 16 players.
They'd be locked in on next year. Now, he's on this team next year. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
I think you could follow the Cole Perfetti. Wouldn't Perfetti get 2 years extension?
Yeah, they
kind of bridged him.
Yep.
Until you know what he is. Until you know, what is Matthew Knies? As a everyday player, is he going to be a 60-point guy?
I like that idea, Noodles. Now that you say it, a little bridge deal.
I mean, now it takes 2 to tango. He might say, I don't want that. And, Perfetti had a little, there were some bumps, I believe, in getting that done. But he went through training camp. He was a complete pro. And, Perfetti's a nice young player. And so is Matthew Knies. not everyone gets that long-term deal. I think they might want it. He might want it too. It's got to work for both sides. But I would say you want some flexibility too. Like that's currency. But
sure.
I
deny it too. I mean, it's too early to say like you got to push hard because he's off to a good start. He's a good player. Played well last year. Played well in the playoffs. I like him. I don't think you fumble over yourself to make sure you get something done, like out of fear. And he may be looking at it thinking you guys are trying to lowball me right now, and maybe he has faith in his game where at the end of the year he finishes with 30 goals and 60 points. He's going to want a big number and if it's a 7 or 8 year deal, he's maybe going to want $6-7 million a year. That's a lot of money, and yet he may be worthy of that compared to other players in his age group putting up those kind of numbers. So I would deny it. Yet I wouldn't jump to that conclusion like 10 games in, have to do it when he's an RFA at the end of the year. Quickly, Elias Pettersson will finish the season with at least 80 points. Confirm or deny?
I 100% deny it. What have you seen that would make you think he's getting 80 points?
It's not good. He's got like 4 points on the year, but he's capable of 90 plus.
Yeah, I'm confirming it. I think he can get to a point a game.
You think so?
Yeah,
man, he looks bad, though, Noodles. Again, last night wasn't playing a lot.
We could do a list of guys who look bad. But you know what?
Not all of
but
them
he's
make
looked bad
11
for
million.
a while.
Yeah?
He's looked bad. It's not just this year. He's bad in the playoffs, and he was bad down the stretch. But, yeah. I hear you. I mean, you guys deny it. I'm confirming. I think he can get to 80 points. Yeah. Yeah.
I just
I'll deny it, but I think he could easily shove that.
He's too good of a player.
He's so good. He's still so good. Confirm or deny, brought to you by Summit Ford and South Lake Ford Lincoln. Employee pricing is back at Ford, and you pay what Ford employees pay on most new 2024 Ford vehicles. Limited time only. Visit summitford.com or southlakeford.com today. Jesse Palmer and Chris Johnston coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.